This is Extinction Rebellion South Australia, and we've just left our earlier live feed when we were at the Mobile Birkenhead oil distribution terminal. We've moved about 1.5 kilometres further north towards another huge oil terminal. It's called the Atom Largs North Terminal in Mildred Terrace. At the Mobil Exxon terminal at 4 o'clock, the company was expecting us. They'd put up witches' hats across the gate. They allowed us to sing, to chant, to have speeches, but we didn't actually block the distribution of fuel from that terminal because they were prepared for us. They didn't know we were coming. This is a different action. Only 1.5 kilometres away, only 45 minutes later, but the intention here is to actually be disruptive, peaceful, civil disobedience. That's what we do. And we are actually intending to prevent distribution of fuel from this depot for as long as we can. We have a rebel on the gate. What is that thing around your neck?
That is a D-lock, and I will be locked on here as long as it takes to actually try and enact some change for the better in regard to fossil fuel usage and policies of transition away from, and for the workers that work in those industries to green industries as well. Yep.
Great. Your name is?
Alex.
Alex.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Alex. And Alex has got a helper, a service dog, really well on the job. And Alex is not the only one with a lock around his neck and locked to the gate. Would you like to tell everybody who you are and what you're doing here?
Yeah. My name's Anna. I'm from Extinction Rebellion, and we're blocking the fuel trucks from coming in and filling up, and those people over there are blocking them from leaving.
Oh,
and we're doing it so that in order to wake the government and Australia up to the fact that it is now code red according to the IPCC. We have to do something right now, or we will not be able to stop global warming and the ensuing nightmare, basically. So I'm locked on for my nieces and my nephew, my family, but also for the next generation of people in the world.
Thanks, Anna. We need to do it, probably 20 years ago, I reckon, but anyway.
If I had my head together 20 years ago, I would have been.
Okay, and a very important message, a just transition for a sustainable future. As the union reps were saying to us at the Mobil Exxon terminal just a few minutes ago, we have to bring the workers with us.
Absolutely.
And so we have Alex, we have Anna, and someone else.
And I'm Kathy, and I'm also with Extinction Rebellion, and yep, code red for the planet. But also, I just want to express some gratitude to fuel workers and transport workers, because they're essential workers, but they're going to be in a difficult situation because we're going to have to transition, and we will transition. I just heard the CEO of a superannuation company today on the radio saying, we can't wait for the government to act. We're already divesting. My superannuation company, he said, is divesting from fossil fuels because we're going to have an imposition from other countries if we continue to not set a proper climate goal, a carbon emission goal. So he said all of the financial institutions are moving in this direction, and fuel companies are as well. BP is divesting. Even Rio Tinto is divesting from thermal coal. So the transport workers and the fuel workers are going to be in a difficult position unless the government has a proper plan to transition them, to pay them out, to retrain them, whatever they need, and it has to be done in consultation with them. That would be fair and just, and it's only what we owe them because they've worked so hard. And I'm locked on here for my granddaughter, Naomi.
You are locked on, aren't you? You've got that D-ring as well.
It's great. Yeah, it's very comfy, this D-lock, I must say. And I've got a lovely comfy chair. Thank you.
Good on you. Okay, let's see what effect this might be having on the distribution of fossil fuels here at the Largs North Fuel Terminal. We have Kathy, we have Anna, we have Alex who are blocking the entry. We have other rebels who are blocking the exit. Come and talk to you in a minute. But we have the first truck that's arrived to find the gate blocked. The first perhaps of many, but we'll see what happens. We're going to hold this spot for as long as we can. I'd love to say until the federal government wakes up, but that might be asking a bit much. All right. Izzy,
Hi.
tell me why you're here.
Why am I here? I'm here because of
It says on your sign,
yes,
Act
there
now.
is Act Now. There is no Planet B.
You obviously
And,
put a lot of resources into this sign.
yes, I
A
did.
lot of
My-
fossil fuels were used to make this sign,
Yes,
not.
yes. My fancy sign just didn't work out, so I
That's-
thought, you know,
that's
old school.
good.
Old
Yes.
school's just as good.
Old school's
And a
even
little
better.
in writing down there, it is a race. Recently we were told something else wasn't a race. Well, this is a race.
It is a race.
I just got to the point where everything's overwhelming. Everything that's going on in so many different ways across the planet, not just climate, everything is just imploding, and I just can't sit by and do nothing. So I'm sitting and doing something.
Good for you.
And just to raise the profile, just to get people mobilised, really. Just, it's not good enough what our government is not doing.
Is not doing.
Is not doing.
Indeed.
Doing nothing.
Thank
So
you, Izzy.
let's hope this makes some impact on people. Yeah.
Oh, you're not locked on, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you are?
indeed.
Oh, you-
I'm
you don't have a
old
D
school
ring.
Again.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
chained on.
Okay.
Right. That
Chained
way.
on.
Yep. Yep.
I hope you're
am.
prepared to sit there for a while.
I'm secure
Okay.
and comfortable.
And it's Mary? Sorry?
Sandy?
Sandy, I'm sorry, Sandy.
That's okay.
And you've got your D ring.
Yes.
And you're locked onto the
I
gate.
can tell you precisely why I'm here.
Tell us.
Decades ago, scientists warned us of global warming. Collectively, we didn't act. Now the IPCC has issued Code Red for humanity. And we are told we must act now within this decade. This is the most serious issue humanity has ever faced. I'm so concerned for my kids and grandkids. I've lived most of my life. Our kids haven't. Emergency action is needed now.
And you're doing it. Good on you.
Thank you,
So
Jane.
for those who aren't familiar with Extinction Rebellion, I guess that's probably a very, very small number, because most of you are watching this because you know what we do. Peaceful civil disobedience. We're not harming anyone, we're not hurting anyone, there is no violence, nobody's getting killed. Not today. We are taking peaceful civil disobedience. We are blocking the fuel terminal, the Largs North fuel terminal. Trish is next. We have here Izzy and
Sandy.
Sandy and Trish and Sarah, and I'm going to get to each of you.
Ah,
Tell us why you're here, Trish.
oh, well, again, so I think Sandy mentioned the IPCC report
She
that
did.
was released this week, indicating that we're now in Code Red, which for anyone, that means danger for us. It means if we don't get on to reducing our carbon emissions by, in the next 30 years, to net zero, our kids' future will die. They won't have a future. I'm here for my kids, I'm here for my grandkids, I'm here for my grandnephews and nieces, I'm here for all the kids, because the future is bleak. I don't want them to be terrified every day of their lives. The other thing is, what about the people that work in places like this? Transition is responsible for 29% of our global emissions, greenhouse emissions.
Transport.
Transport.
Yes.
Sorry, transport. And these people, BP, Reliable, Exxon, these people are all part of that. They're contributing to greenhouse gases. We need them to transition out of liquid fuel into reliable energy resources. The workers that work here, what are they going to do? Their future is bleak too. They won't have jobs. I mean, how awful is that? I really feel for the workers of this country. There'll be nothing for them in the future.
Well, we're standing with them for a just transition.
Yes, we want a just transition. Exactly right, Shane.
I was just going to pull back, Trish, and I'm going to come back to you in a moment, Sarah, but I want people to see the picture. If you've just joined us, this is our second fuel blockade of the day. The first one at Mobil Exxon was really a celebration in song, and this one is a serious blockade because we have blocked the gates into and out of the Largs North oil terminal. It says Atom, but it's mainly, I think, BP, and we're demanding climate action now, of course, as you would expect from Extinction Rebellion banner holders. Fossil fuels cost the earth. Everybody seems to know that except the people in the federal government. There will be music later on. I can see drums that have been brought in. And we now have had police officers join us. They've only just been alerted that there is a real blockade happening here. And we have, so far, only one truck backed up. No doubt there will be others.
Anyway, you're okay with that? You still want to stay?
But they're thinking about
We're thinking about it.
We'll go and talk to them.
Okay. We're all thinking about it.
I forgot a comment.
Sarah, what are you thinking about? Or would you like me to come back later after you've had a think?
No, we've just been told that that they're not happy with having us chained onto the gate.
Funny about that.
That's funny about that. They're happy for us to protest, but they're concerned about our safety. But we've actually locked the gates as well as locking ourselves on. So we're having a think about what we'll do with that. So I'm pretty sure what the answer is, but I'll just confer for a minute.
Yes,
Yeah.
you confer, because this is an important decision. You know, people, XR volunteers, rebels, are putting themselves in harm's way to a certain extent, perhaps putting themselves at risk of arrest. We don't want any harm to come to them or indeed to anybody. That's not what we do. We're about peaceful civil disobedience. And if you join Extinction Rebellion and help us in actions like this, it doesn't mean that you are necessarily sticking your hand up to get arrested. Not everyone who volunteers with XR is prepared to get arrested, but we are prepared to help and support any of our members, any of our helpers who do put themselves in positions like that to make the point that it's time to end the use of fossil fuels. It was time a long time ago, but it's really, really critical now. As a couple of our rebels locked to the gate said, it was only a few days ago that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, told us that there's a code red for humanity. Human-caused climate change is rapidly escalating. And we need you to join us. Don't sit on the sidelines any longer. Become part of Extinction Rebellion and help drive the change to renewables, to clean energy. July is here. July with a voice. And not only that, the TV cameras have turned up too. From the earlier blockade at the Mobil Exxon fuel depot, we're now 1.5 kilometres further away, a little bit further north along Victoria Drive, We've gone from Birkenhead to Largs North because this is another huge petrol distribution terminal. The sign that Sarah's holding there, duty of care, is especially poignant because it was only a few weeks ago that a judge decided that the Federal Environment Minister had a duty of care to children and future generations when she, Susan Ley, the Minister, is deciding on what projects to approve. And of course, the federal government is appealing that decision. They are trying to argue in court that they have no duty of care. If I'd made that up, you wouldn't believe me. It just sounds so ridiculous, but that's exactly what's happening.
Singing for our lives. We have gathered round for people. We are singing for our lives.
Singing for our lives. Politely standing on a street corner holding a placard is not going to cut it. When ordinary people stand up and insist that demand that action be taken to start the immediate phase out of fossil fuels and actually take action consistent with that belief. And enough people do that, then change will be made. We have a couple of police officers here. What we got now? 3 police officers at the Largs North fuel terminal, just discussing what action, if any, the police will take to disband, to end this protest. Whether the people on the gate will be moved for their own safety, whether they want to move. We need action. What do we need?
Action. We want it now.
Now. Now there's a slogan. I've never heard that one before, but no, it's very, very true. Never been truer.
Yeah, our common, how do you call it, collective sense-making apparatus is failing us also in climate change. It's not the only area. There's more of them. Diet and health is another one, but this is a major one.
So we need action. Well, we've got some today. Now the oil tanker that was here has left. Where did he go and what does he intend to do? We have marshals here whose job it is to make sure everybody is safe, to help convey information between the rebels locked to the gate and the police, Let's make sure we're all on the same page and that nobody is expecting any surprises. Police in South Australia generally tend to respect the choice people have to protest, and generally make sure that nobody gets hurt, and that's something we totally endorse. But we do make the point that governments have a duty of care, that this is last chance for humanity. And here are our rebels on the front line, behind the banner. If you've just joined us, I should point out that we've had 2 actions. Extinction Rebellion South Australia has had 2 actions today. We're at the second one now. The first one was at 4 o'clock this afternoon at the Mobil Birkenhead Oil Distribution Terminal at, well, it's Birkenhead, otherwise known as Peterhead, I think. And we stood there with flags, with our banners. We sang songs, we heard speeches from unions, to union officials who were there in a personal capacity, each of them, because we were making the point that the transition to away from fossil fuels must be a just transition for the workers. The people who are now working in fossil fuel industries need to have some reassurance about their future, their livelihoods. When we transition into renewable energy totally, which we must do as soon as possible, they need to be assured that there is a future for them and their families as well, and we want them to work with us to have a future with the new renewable energy economy, not be left behind. So it was great to see them there. I was doing a recap, wasn't I? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. We had that quasi-fuel blockade at the Mobil Birkenhead terminal, but we had publicised that widely, and so the operators of the Mobil Birkenhead terminal knew we were coming, and they had already closed the gate. They'd already got into alternative operations so that their distribution was not disrupted at all. Even before that one was over, a different set of Extinction Rebellion activists, our rebels, had set up this site 1.5 kilometres further north. At Largs North, a different oil distribution terminal, where they weren't expecting us, and so we were able to take control of the gates. This is the entry gate, and that's the exit gate. We have 3 rebels locked to that gate, the entry gate, and 4 locked over on the other exit gate. Economists sometimes talk about stranded assets. If you're an energy company and you've invested multi-million dollars into things like this, that's what you call stranded assets. If they're not stranded now, they will be very soon, and should be very soon, because they are the things, and the fuel inside them is what's burning the planet. And if you're an investor, why would you put money into this sort of energy when you know that the world is transitioning, must transition away from energy of that type? If you were watching our earlier live feed, you would have seen the oilies. They've made the trip a little bit further up road from Birkenhead to Largs North. If you've been following Extinction Rebellion in the past, you would have seen at earlier actions red rebels who come dressed in red to symbolise blood, crisis. This time they're not red rebels, they're oilies, and they're frozen in place by the look of things. Alex, who's locked himself to the gate, has his trusty dog there helping him. Where are the oilies going? I think the oilies are going to pay their respects to each of the rebels locked to the gates. Flowing robes. You reckon they look a little bit like Darth Vader? We're getting...
Oh yeah, but they've just disarmed the gate.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
cool.
your safety, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are still going to stay
I'm
on?
fine
Okay.
here for the moment until we know
need to
more.
tell.
Yeah. Oh, you just got here.
So Izzy, can you... Oh!
Being greeted by
Close
the oily.
approach by an oilie. We're getting draped in oil.
Yes.
Metaphorically, figuratively.
Figuratively, indeed.
So Izzy, can you tell us what the discussion was about moving or not moving?
About not moving, I think the police are wanting to come to a compromise, but I've said, well, I want more information because they haven't said what the compromise is. So I'm still deliberating as to what they want us.
Phasing out fossil fuels by 2026
Yes.
instead of 2025. That might be a compromise.
Yes, that would be a compromise. But as for sitting on the gate, well, I'm not sure what the police are negotiating. But yes, there is no compromise on phasing out fossil fuels.
Not yet.
They are to be phased out. And also, as we're all saying, we acknowledge that there are vast numbers of people employed in the industry.
Yeah.
And their fear is their jobs, quite rightly and quite understandably. So there should be a just transition from fossil fuel economy to other jobs, be it in the renewable industry or any other industry, retraining, support for the workers out of the fossil fuel industry.
Yeah.
We're absolutely sympathetic with that and agree. So it's not going to be a millions of people out of job situation. That should be part of the plan, very clear plan, which we do not have.
No.
No, not even an inkling of a plan.
Yeah. Well, the point of peaceful civil disobedience is to be disobedient.
That's right.
So if they want you to move, then, you know,
well, yeah, I'm not
disobedience.
moving just yet.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be a little bit more disobedient.
And yes.
I'm comfy. I'm only just got here. It's fun. We've got the Oilers, we've got flags, we've got music, so yeah.
Let's see how long we can hold the gate.
We'll see what happens.
Just a reminder, if you haven't done a COVID check-in, then please see the fabulous Ronnie right here. They have both QR codes and a sign-up form, COVID form. He can sign you up too, though, if you need. Obviously with consent and all of that. So, also, well done, CPs.
For the uninitiated, CP means conscientious protector. All right. I was just expecting there would be a speech there.
Give me a second.
Okay. Chris was doing speeches earlier. A rather inspiring speech at our first fuel blockade site at the mobile Birkenhead terminal. Just to refresh, to recap in case you weren't with us earlier, this is our second live stream of the day from Extinction Rebellion South Australia. Our first one lasted about half an hour. That was at the mobile Birkenhead oil terminal, where we set up our banners, sang songs, heard a few inspiring speeches, and then, even while that one continued, a new blockade was set up a very short distance, about 1.5 kilometres north of the mobile Birkenhead oil terminal. We went to the Largs North terminal, a little bit further along Victoria Drive, which is where, as I understand it, BP fuels are distributed from here. And we've got 7 rebels who have locked themselves to the gates. Izzy was just saying a moment ago that the gates have been disarmed, so they can't be activated. That would have been a bit dangerous for the rebels who locked themselves to it. Although we've also put padlocks on the gates. We did that first to minimise the risk that anybody would be hurt by a gate sliding open. And along with the rebels locked to the gates, we have the oilies, symbolising the dark, dirty fossil fuels that are, you're trying to look mean and working. That's the problem that is beleaguering our planet. And Australia is one of the worst offenders in the world, taking the least action of any country in the OECD to reduce the use of fossil fuels. We have a government in Canberra that will not sign up to the grossly inadequate target of net zero by 2050. The Earth is burning now. Countries all around the world have signed up to net zero by 2050, which even if that's carried out, is far too late. And our government won't even subscribe to that as a target. Extinction Rebellion has 3 demands, and they're really quite simple. Number 1 is to tell the truth. Number 2 is to take action now. And number 3 is a citizens' assembly to put this beyond politics. This is not about politics, this is about survival for not only humans but thousands of other species that are on the brink, either now or very soon in the future, because of our irresponsible continued use of fossil fuels. We have our Channel 9 reporter back again.
Soon we're going to go invite the CPs to use the megaphone and say why they're here. And when I do that, I'll give you a heads up.
Okay. We already spoke to each of the CPs, conscientious protectors, the ones who are locked to the gate. We gave them a voice on this Facebook live stream, but we're going to give them a megaphone in a few minutes. Ben, do you want to say a few words on the live stream now?
Shane, I'd love to.
Okay, we've got you here in front of Ben's our media spokesperson. Have you been interviewed yet on Channel 9? Or you were earlier, weren't you?
I have. Channel 9 spoke to me. We've got 7 here as well, and hopefully there'll be more joining us soon as word of this hot escalation seeps out into the community.
So, what are we doing here that's different to what we did at the Mobile Birkenhead terminal earlier this afternoon?
So yeah, if you're just joining us at Mobile, we simply blocked the entrance and exit point with banners and rebels, and there was singing and chanting. But here we're taking a little bit of a harder edge, shall we say. We've got 7 rebels behind me who are locked on and chained on. Many of them grandparents. They're here because they feel they have no other choice to be. Nobody wants to be doing this on such a fine, almost spring day. But yes, we feel like, or we know, according to the IPCC, that we're in Code Red for humanity, and if we don't drastically escalate our action, then we're in very serious trouble in the decades to come. And we're obviously targeting fuel distribution centres like this because fossil fuels are so much a part of the problem that we all want to address. And there's been a lot of commentary recently about the idea of a renewable economy and transitioning workers. So it's really important to stress that is absolutely central to our message here today, is that it's not about demonising workers, it's actually about solidarity with workers in whatever industry they're in. We feel like we need to be doing more as a government and as a society to help those people, to train them, to transition them into the jobs that are going to be sustainable next year and decades into the future.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Shane.
Just pan across and give you a shot of each of the rebels. Izzy, Sandy, Trish, Sarah. They're locked to the out gate. You can see a fuel tanker in the distance on the run. Logo on the fuel tanker. Stuck there, can't exit. Here we have Kathy and Anna and Alex locked to the in gate. Light is fading. They've been here holding the gate for about 40 minutes, I think, since about 4:45, and in the live feed I'm telling you it's now 5:25 in Adelaide. And the oilies are holding their position off to the side. So we'd have, well, let me see how many people, rough guess, about 25, 30 maybe, as well as 2 TV stations several police officers, marshals, and a bit of a standoff. It's up to each one of the rebels who are locked to the gate to determine how long they want to stay there for. They're obviously prepared. They knew this was going to be a prolonged action. And they can choose how long they want to stay there. But the whole point is to disrupt, to peacefully disrupt. Why do we want to peacefully disrupt? Because business as usual is not the answer. Business as usual is what's got us into this problem. There has to be a drastic rethink. Our actions help prompt the drastic rethink. They say to the people making the investment decisions that business as usual cannot continue. If you're an investor, would you put your money into fossil fuels? Would you want to be pouring money into it? Just a few days ago, BHP, or actually it's just been announced, I don't know whether it's happened yet, but BHP are planning to divest all of their fossil fuel interests into Woodside Petroleum, based in Western Australia, and issue some shares in Woodside to their shareholders, so that if you are a BHP shareholder and you don't want to be involved in investing in fossil fuels, then you can sell your Woodside Petroleum shares. I think there'll be a lot of people willing to do that, very keen to do that. In fact, I'm wondering who on earth would want to buy them. Well, at the Largs North Oil Distribution Terminal, another tanker has arrived. And I don't know whether the driver was surprised. He might have already been advised on his radio that this is what he would be expecting when he got here. I'm using the masculine pronoun he because I just made that assumption. I shouldn't make that assumption, should I? But there's the tanker arriving, and I presume the driver would have been expecting to enter there, fill up with petrol and take it out to service stations somewhere around South Australia, around Adelaide perhaps. Because this is what happens every time you fill up your car with petrol, you know, and we all do it because it's impractical at the moment to get around in other ways, because we haven't been planning for a transition to clean energy. But pollution comes in, is stored in those enormous vats, it's distributed by drivers such as this one. And as so many people have said to me this afternoon, you've got to feel sorry, or at least pay your respects to workers such as the driver of this tanker, whose job won't exist in a clean energy future, but it's part of the role of government to help workers such as that driver and everyone else who works at a terminal like this to transition to clean jobs in the future. What will our grandchildren think when we show them images like this? Kids, back in the 2020s, grandkids, I remember when there were huge tanks here that housed dirty fossil fuel that wrecked the atmosphere, that led to the huge crisis of climate change. Maybe your grandchildren won't believe you, but people in the 2020s could have been so stupid as to continue to produce and sell and burn fossil fuels even as the planet burned. But you can tell them you remember. Why didn't we stop doing it earlier, they will say. To which the response might be, good question. Why didn't they? We all have a place in history. We all have a decision to make every day about the way we live our lives. But the government has the biggest decisions because they're there to guide policy. I heard the Deputy Prime Minister on the radio a few days ago saying we don't make policy on transitioning to a clean energy. That's up to people like the CSIRO. That was Barnaby Joyce's take on it. We're in the government, we don't make policy. This is what the TV reporters call a piece to camera. Where the reporter will say a few words which will get edited into the TV news bulletin, perhaps. The petrol tanker is on the move.
BP's fuel depot where 6 people have chained themselves to the front gate. Extinction Rebellion is protesting inaction over climate change, and it was just 2 months ago when they were protesting out the front of Mobil Exxon's fuel depot where they chained themselves and glued their hands to the driveway. But so far today it's been a peaceful protest. The police are here on site. Activists have, however, dressed up as oil and rubbish. Now, Extinction Rebellion arrived here around 4 o'clock this afternoon, choosing these particular locations because it says it wants to draw attention to Australia's dependence on fossil fuels within our transportation system. Here's what they had to say. If you're just joining us on this live feed, we're coming to you today, Extinction Rebellion South Australia, from the Atom Largs North petrol distribution terminal. It's a place where fuel is stored in these enormous vats. Vats is probably not the right word, but I'm not pretending to know its correct terminology. And distributed from here to service stations all around the place. And Extinction Rebellion, CPs, conscientious protectors, 7 of them have chained themselves to the gates of this terminal to prevent oil tankers going in or coming out. We have 4 who've told us that they're here for the long haul, going to hold the gate as long as they can. That's the exit gate. 4 there on the exit gate and 3 there on the entrance gate. This is our second action of the day. The earlier one was at only about 1.5 kilometres away at the Mobil Exxon fuel distribution terminal at Birkenhead. This one's only a short distance away at Largs North. And it's a waiting game because our conscientious protectors say they're not going anywhere.
I think the company would like us to move on. I think, yeah, the chap here is the drivers, the fuel tanker. It's been parked. Now, he's earlier, the second fuel tanker that's arrived since the Extinction Rebellion action began and has had to be turned away. That's the fuel tanker parked a little bit further down the street. Mildred Terrace we're in at Largs North, and I think the driver might have just taken an early minute. Yep. Just being told to move off the road, which is fair enough. Don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. No. I'll get off the road. Happy to obey that instruction from the police officer. I'm wondering whether the police officers have actually asked the people on the gate to move. I don't think they have. They've asked you to. Our marshals, our police liaison officers here, doing an excellent job. Thank you very much. And yes,
they wanted to negotiate, and one of our members said to him, "Be prepared to think about chocolate."
Don't know whether you heard that.
As a negotiation.
Chocolate is a negotiation tactic. I think I'd be susceptible to that, but no, that's not really what the negotiations are about here. I was wondering whether we could negotiate the end of fossil fuels by 2026 instead of 2025, whether that would be a...
Oh yes, good idea.
Yeah, I think make it a counter offer.
Maybe 6 months, up at 6.
Yeah, because that is, of course, one of the Extinction Rebellion demands, to end the use of fossil fuels ASAP. Chris has got the megaphone out. Are you about to make a speech with the megaphone, Chris?
I'm going to wait till July. Just looks like you're doing something. I'm going to wait till July. I'm going to wait for a few minutes, and then I'm going to tell people, where the toilets are, do an acknowledgement of country, let the CPs speak about why they're here. So I've got a really nice, gentle mood going right now.
It is gentle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what I should be saying because I've said it all several times, but that's okay.
That's all right. And there's people joining the streaming midway through, so
yeah.
We had some good speeches before from the
We did.
From the folks down at the other the site.
If you're watching this stream now, well, when I say now, people might be watching this much later than the time when I'm actually saying this. There's 2 streams today.
Yes, that's right.
A half-hour stream from the mobile terminal, and this one, which I think is going longer, at the Atom Largs North terminal.
That's right. So this is for Reliable Petroleum. They're a provider of fuels for BP, so a distributor. And so at the moment, not very reliable though.
No, but that's outside their control. It's in the control of the conscientious protectors who've locked themselves to the gate.
Yeah,
the gates.
And police in how they choose to respond. We are taking action here, and then the police and the state will choose how they respond.
Yeah,
in their court at the moment.
Yeah, they've asked the CPs to move.
I'm going to give a speech in just a second.
All right, I'll come.
Just a quick.
Okay, we'll come back to you when you lift up the megaphone. There's a lot of XR, Extinction Rebellion banners flying today. Have a look at them all, in different colours. XR doesn't have a colour. Big corporate people have particular colours for their logo, and you've always got to use the same colour in your logo. XR, Extinction Rebellion, just has the symbol. You can go on blue flags, red flags, green flags, yellow flags, it doesn't matter. We are Extinction Rebellion, and we have 3 demands. Tell the truth, act now, beyond politics. That's a very, very simple way of putting it, of course. 2-word slogans, but there's a lot more behind each of those than just a 2-word slogan. There's plenty of information online if you want to find out more about Extinction Rebellion. And we need your help. Don't be shy. We're a really welcoming bunch of people. We will make you feel welcome. There's a lot that you can do, learn. You don't have to do as Anna has. You're eating. Very good. You'd never know behind your mask.
I know.
You don't have to do something like Anna is, locking herself to the gate, seeking a just transition for a sustainable future, but you can help work for a just transition to a sustainable future, whether or not you choose to lock yourself to the gate.
Come and join us. Hey, hey, hey. We don't fight.
We don't fight. I think you're losing your voice, Anna.
Probably.
You're getting a little croaky. Kathy, what? Oh, we're about to... There is a very peaceful feeling here. We are peaceful, gentle people. And as the song goes, we're singing for our lives.
Hello everyone. Can everybody hear me? Just checking in. A bit louder. How about that? I'm almost eating the megaphone. Good. Yep, it's delicious. So I don't want to say much, but just want to do a few housekeeping things really quickly. So for people who don't know, I'm Chris from XR's Media and Messaging team, and I just want to quickly start by acknowledging that we are acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands in which we meet today, the Kaurna people, to pay our deepest respects to elders past and present, to acknowledge that sovereignty of this land was never ceded. We are on stolen land. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Some quick housekeeping. So there are toilets nearby that are open for people to use, unless of course you're locked to the gate. Might be a bit tricky. So the toilets are over here by the football club. So if you head down this side of Mildred Terrace and come around between the goalpost and and the trees, it's open and available for people to use. If you're not sure on directions, feel free to ping me or July. Also, thanks, July. And right now, I just want to give a few moments for our CPs to tell us why they're here. So let's do that. So Sandy, why have you put your body on the line today?
Well, decades ago, scientists warned us of global warming. Collectively, we didn't act. Now, the IPCC has issued Code Red for Humanity. We are told that we must act now, within this decade. This is the most serious issue humanity has ever faced. I am so concerned for my kids and grandkids. I've lived most of my life. Our kids haven't. Emergency action is needed now.
Thank you, Sandy. Let's give Sandy a cheer. Oh, Ben, if you're able to record these for socials, that'd be amazing. Thanks.
And here we have Trish. Do you want to tell us why you're here today, Trish? I'll take it, please.
Hello everyone. Yes, I also was deeply shocked with the message we got this week from the IPC that we're in code red now. You know what that means. It means our future is in danger, our kids' future is in danger, my grandkids' future is in danger, my grandnieces, my grandnephews, all the kids in the world, they are inheriting a dangerous future. And why should they be terrified just living day to day when they grow up? That's terrible. Think about their jobs as well. What jobs are there on a dead planet? What jobs are there on a suffering planet? These people behind us here are part of the problem. That's why we're here. They have, liquid fuels are a big part of the problem. And emissions from liquid fuels are horrendous. We can't keep going this way. We need a new way of living. We need to transition. We need a just transition for workers. What about all the workers that work in there? The truck drivers that are being stopped today. We're really sorry they're stopped. They do a good job, but it's the wrong job. They need a just transition in sustainable industry. Now, who's not working? I'll tell you who should be doing this job. It's the Australian government and corporations. They're the ones that need to act. They're the ones that should be responsible. Are they responsible? No, they're running backwards into the past. They're not moving into the future. Just transition for workers, a future for our kids. Act now.
Thanks, Trish.
I'm sorry you're not first this time, Sarah. So why are you here today, Sarah?
Excuse me. Time is running out. As everyone's referred to the IPCC report, it's confirmed our very, very worst fears. Not that we didn't know about this and haven't known about this for many decades, but time is running out, and part of the reason me being here today, along with the other reasons given by my co-CPs, is this government is not responding to the climate emergency. Even though it's been called out by other countries,
Sorry, if you can just stay forward. Yep.
other nations, it's still telling the Australian community blatant lies about how well we are supposed to be doing, and we know that is not true. We can't even get an emissions target, and I think some of the response to the IPC, from ScoMo to one of the worst quotes I heard since that time was that the IPCC report is drip-feeding climate porn. And these are the kind of responses we're getting from the politicians that are supposed to be leading this country. ScoMo's worried about tax increases and technology and all sorts of stuff, but nothing is concrete. And to be honest, I'm not sure which party is going to give us the answers. So I can't continue to remain silent. I never thought at my tender age that I'd be putting myself in an arrestable position. I'm a person who's generally followed the law. I've been, making sure I do the right thing. I pay my taxes. I've worked for decades. And I've been driven now. I cannot, I've got some really good words here, but I can't remember them now. I can't ignore the climate crisis. I can't let it go without doing something, again, for my children and my grandchildren. Putting myself in a position of possibly breaking the law possible arrest from a very law-abiding person. In fact, in my past career, I actually worked in the criminal justice system. So I've now reversed. I'm out here putting myself at risk, but intentionally. I just think that, and for all the reasons about Scott Morrison being in cahoots with the fossil fuel industry, it's so obvious. They seem to be ruling and stating our climate policy, not the politicians. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's give a bit of a woo for Sarah.
Another fuel tanker has just arrived and is the engine is idling while they wait to find out whether they're going to be getting into the fuel terminal. And the answer, of course, is not while we're here.
Might take us a second. My feet need to get back into them.
Okay, so there's the fuel tanker parked outside the oil distribution terminal at Largs North. The driver's been advised or already knew that he wasn't going to be getting in to fill up. Not tonight, not now, not while we're here to make that point, the point you can see on the banner in front of you. The fact that we at Extinction, the point that we at Extinction Rebellion are trying to make over and over and over again, that the planet is burning and that the time for action, well, it passed a long time ago, but it's really here now. Just a bit of a recap if you've just joined us. As I speak, the time is 17:53. That's 7 minutes to 6 p.m. Extinction Rebellion South Australia is taking part in what is a national fuel blockade. Similar actions like this occurred in other parts of Australia earlier today and will continue. This is not a one-off. This is part of an ongoing, continuing campaign. We are targeting fossil fuel companies. Last week we targeted at a sit-in at the National Australia Bank branch in Gooja Street in Adelaide because the National Australia Bank is funding fossil fuel industries, is still, even in 2021, pouring billions of dollars of their depositors' money into what will become stranded assets in fossil fuel extraction and distribution. And of course we've got identified some of the biggest problem companies in Australia. Santos, based in Adelaide, whose business model is entirely about exploiting fossil fuels to the detriment of the planet. And Woodside Petroleum, based in WA, which has just very foolishly picked up all of the oil and gas assets, or is about to, oil and gas assets of BHP. I think that's the very definition of a poor investment. It's a poor investment in terms of the future of the planet, and it's a very poor investment if they cannot see the writing on the wall in terms of stranded assets. If you want to see stranded assets, here's a few of them. At the terminal, the Largs North terminal, oil terminal, on the Fleurieu Peninsula of Adelaide, to the north. Oh, great. Ronnie's action support, and she's got munchies to give to the CPs, to the banner holders. Yay! Got to keep your spirits up. And I can't take a biscuit, Ronnie. I'm narrating. I'll get crumbs stuck in my throat. Anna wants chocolate.
Did you say Anna wants chocolate?
Yes.
How did you know?
Oh, I could just tell.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Do I have
I actually don't have chocolate. I've got an apple.
That sounds like it's washed down nicely after the chocolate.
One for Ronnie, one for Anna. One.
I have this just for people that are worried about COVID. Yeah. You good?
Yeah, sterilise your hands after every biscuit, just in case. I'm not going to keep the camera on you while you eat your biscuit. There is. This is a very strange action because there isn't actually a lot happening, but that's okay. That's actually what we had intended, what we hoped for. We have taken control of the gate. This is the third fuel tanker that has been prevented from entering since we've been here. There may be others before we're finished for the day, for the night, for the week, for the month, for the year. And it's not as if we're not fools. We know this is not going to be, one action on its own does not make a revolution, and we need a revolution, a peaceful, just transition, taking account of the needs of all of the people who work in the dying fossil fuel industries, helping them transition into the cleaner energy future that is coming, but not coming nearly fast enough. What role will there be for oilies in the clean energy future? We'll have to transition the oilies into something renewable. And these are the oilies. Our Extinction Rebellion activists personifying the dirt, the grime, the slime, the personification of fossil fuel. Okay. TV reporter from Channel 9 is setting up to go live. Well, I'm assuming, she hasn't told me that, I'm assuming they're going live into the 6 o'clock TV news. Live from Largs North. And inside the terminal there's been a couple of guys in high-vis vests who keep walking backwards and forwards. I'm not quite sure what they're doing. They came in earlier on to have a good look at the gate. And we want to make sure our CPs, our conscientious protectors, are safe. They are locked to the gate. On this out gate we have...
You need to sit on that one there, the little one.
We have three who've used D-locks, as in bicycle locks. Oh, we've got another tanker. Another one with a chain, and of course the gate itself, I'll just show you this, the gate itself has been locked with a heavy-duty padlock. The point of that is to minimise any risk to those who are locked. Here we have another tanker. That's the I think the fourth one that's turned up today and has had to be turned away. That has the word reliable on it, which I believe is the sign says Atom, but I'm told it's called the Reliable Fuel Distribution Company. Not reliable at the moment, and of course we hope that reliable energy distribution in future will be something that does not involve fossil fuels. Anyway, three huge tankers are on site at the moment. There was an earlier one that left. So we've got 3 standing by and just waiting, and presumably the drivers or their employers are trying to decide how long they're going to stand around, how long they will expect to be delayed here. Okay, time for another recap. Yep, if you've just joined us on this live stream from Extinction Rebellion South Australia, we are blockading the Largs North Fuel Terminal, the distribution point for BP Fuels in Adelaide. Extinction Rebellion activists, conscientious protectors, CPs we call them, have locked themselves to the gates. 3 there locked to the in gate, 4 locked to the out gate. Good stuff. What was Sarah? I don't know. What did you say?
I just said we had 2 people standing over there who saw us on the news, and they've come down to come to support us.
Fantastic.
So they're very supportive of what we're doing. So it's good to get that feedback.
Yes, and so prompt the feedback. Yeah, there's a lot of goodwill in the Australian community towards the idea of a very speedy transition away from fossil fuels.
One thing I forgot to say in my little speech, duty of care.
Yeah.
So we're saying that this is something, the duty of care goes right across. It's not, it was in relation to Susan Foley appeal against the children, but it's also the responsibility of our government. They have a duty of care to the whole population. So I think this is a very apt meme that we're now using and within XR. So
yeah.
I've now had my chance to say duty of care.
Duty of care.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yep. I mentioned that a bit earlier in the feed. The fact that Susan Ley is appealing against that.
Unbelievable.
Trying to prove to a court that she doesn't have a duty of care.
We don't have to look after the next generation. We don't have to look after the current generation.
Yeah.
So what chance have we got with this government?
We'll see whether, well, we're here doing what we can.
Yeah.
All right. It's dark. Well, it's not entirely dark, but it's pretty close to dark. It's after sunset in Adelaide. We've been holding the gate here for, I think it's at least an hour and a half. Around about an hour and a half. It must have been about 4:40 or thereabouts when the CPs, the conscientious protectors, locked themselves to the gate. And by my watch it's now, let me see, 7 minutes past 6. So yeah, going on for an hour and a half. Oh, semaphore. We have a semaphore signaller. So there's a flag here. I'm not quite sure what was going on then. Are we trying to send a message with semaphore signs? Oh, okay. And the message is climate Oh, SOS. Of course. Oh, yes, except the flags. Sounds like a good idea to me. We're getting lots of lovely feedback on the live feed. Thank you everyone who's giving us hearts and thumbs up. We love it too. Thank you everyone. Well, we try. We all try. Thank you. Thank you for putting your... Yes. Your necks are on the line. How are you feeling after, it's an hour and a half now?
Is it really? Is that all?
Yeah,
oh, damn.
Yeah, that's all. Well, you're expecting it was 3 or 4 hours?
No. I was thinking it might be 2. But that's okay. I'm coping. I've had a lovely piece of dried fruit and a biscuity thing. So that's really sustaining. And it's great to hear, actually, everybody doing their messages on the loudspeaker and giving us lots of reminders about why we're here, which is great. Yeah.
Have you got enough to eat and drink?
Oh, fabulous. I've got a lovely bottle of water here, and I've got one of those seats with a little hole in the
oh, perfect.
armrest.
Yes, your bottle's just sitting in there by the side.
How good is that?
Yep,
yes.
You're prepared.
So very... I'm actually really sorry for the guy sitting in the truck. I actually know a guy who does the drive from Port Bonython. And, you know, he's a fuel delivery person. And it's really hard work. And just to think that, you know, they think they've got to the end of their trip and now they're being held up by us. It must be really, really irritating.
Yeah, it is.
And, you know, I can only say I'm sorry, but, you know, what else can we do? We just, yeah.
As we usually say, you know, if you think this is inconvenient, try, you know, bushfires and climate emergencies, floods, fires.
Yeah, it is really
That's
difficult.
really inconvenient.
But when you come to a day-to-day working thing, it must be so awful for these guys. I really sympathise with them. But, yep, that's where we are. You're right. Yeah.
So what's happening over here? No? And that truck is got its lights flashing. He might be about to give up. The third oil tanker is about to move on. Or not. No, he's stopped his engine and he's getting out of the cab. We have a couple of police officers over here just waiting and watching, basically. They're not intervening. I find it intriguing that there was some discussion earlier on with the police officers asking whether we could come to a compromise. And I really don't know what they might have had in mind by that. How do you compromise with fossil fuel companies that are continuing to profit from spewing CO2, methane, other noxious gases and substances into the atmosphere, polluting the world? What's the compromise you would offer? Beats me. Anyway, that didn't come to anything. I think that was just, a thought bubble maybe from one of the police officers. Because the compromise is our 3 demands. Extinction Rebellion. Tell the truth, act now, put this beyond politics.
SOS from the Kids, which is an XR song, like it's written by XR for XR. There's like several composers within Global XR written songs specifically for XR protest, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, now I have to make a decision because my battery's about to run out and I need to upload this. The last thing I want to do is to have it lost.
You better do it,
Yeah. My battery's about to expire.
All right.
Well, not. It's on 6%.
All right.
And I'm still live streaming.
I might let the other rebels quickly speak.
Yeah, and I better need to finish it off before the battery goes and save it.
All right, I'll do that now then.
The action is going to continue after this live stream finishes.
Well, great that you could come down and see us. It's so lovely. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. We're going to take a moment just to hear from the rest of the CPs about why they're here today. So get ready to do some more woos because we're going to talk to Kathy, Anna, and Alex.
So try not to move my left and right, just speak straight into the thing. I'll hold it, you don't need to worry about it.
G'day everybody, thanks for being here. It's fabulous to be here and it's so comfy. No, not really, but it is nice to be here and it's a privilege to be able to take part in this action. I just wanted to, every time we see the guys turn up in trucks, I feel really sorry for them. I know it's the end of a long haul day and I actually know somebody who does the trip from Port Bonython and I just think, oh, look guys, thank you for doing all the essential fuel work. We just want you to be able to transition to a better economy. There is shed loads of money to be made from renewable fuels and we can do it if we had the right government incentives and all that stuff. It could be done. And in fact, the fact that we're not even making money out of it, never mind the environmental factors, is so darn sad. But thank you everybody for being here and we'll just keep trying to campaign on this because it can be changed. We've got no alternative, we've got to change. I'm here for my granddaughter, she's in Sydney and I'm hoping she's alright and hoping that she has a decent future. Thank you everybody.
Yeah. Alright, we might hear from Anna now. So why are you here? Why are you here, Anna?
I'm here. I want to keep it on a positive note as well. So yeah, I repeat what Kathy said. Thanks to everybody for coming and supporting this cause. It is so important right now. The IPCC report, Code Red, Code Red the planet, Code Red Australia. Now is the time that we have to change. And I know it's going to be hard because change isn't easy, but I tell you what, we can do it if we all stand together. Extinction Rebellion is just a little wave, but we actually need a tsunami of people to stand up and let our government know to stop prevaricating on this issue. We're in a climate crisis right now. They need to act. They need to plan for the future. They need a just transition for the fossil fuel workers and a just transition for the whole planet. Thanks.
We're here from Alex now before we sign off from the live feed, but the action's going to continue at Largs Bay, Largs North.
It might be easier if you have to
Take the boat off? Yep.
If you want to keep it on,
sure.
that's fine as well. I'll try and stay just
All right, thanks. My name's Alex, and this is Fenna, my assistance animal. We are here because of the apathy of our governments at state and federal levels in regard of taking the environment and the welfare of all that inhabit this planet seriously. It's time for a transition in governance, in systems, in practices, in thinking, in being. And that's basically why we're here. So this transition for fossil fuels or away from fossil fuels to green practices, this is something that's been overdue for eons. We've been badgering on about it since the 80s. I'm old enough to remember that and to have been part of that right the way through. So it's about time. We need this change. And with the elections coming up, there's the opportunity. We need to make this change.
Yay.
Yay.